Dazn's Misfits 4 card was yet another amazing card from top to bottom, and in this video, I'll be breaking down the entire thing from start to finish. Let's get into it. This card popped off with Anthony Pretty Boy Taylor and Idris Virgo, the Body Breaker, who definitely broke down Anthony Taylor's body as well as his head. He just completely beat the brakes off of him. Idris Virgo cruised to a very easy victory, getting 2 knockdowns, although one was a little controversial, but still complete domination in this fight. And this performance that he had over Anthony Taylor was a lot more impressive than Tommy Fury's performance over the same guy. I mean, you can't really do boxing math this way, but it's not a crazy argument to make that Idris Virgo right now might be the better fighter between him and Tommy Fury. Interestingly enough, Idris Virgo is actually looking to stay in the crossover scene, while Tommy Fury from afar is looking at it as being beneath him as a legit pro boxer. But I'm very interested to see who they match Idris up with next. It's going to be kind of hard after a performance like that. I mean, I don't know if anyone else is going to want to be in there with a guy who's now 13-0 with 2 knockouts and a very impressive performance. And as for Anthony Pretty Boy Taylor, he may have lost in dramatic fashion, but I mean, at the end of the day, he's a complete and total consummate showman. Every time he's out there, whether it's the fight itself or even just the press conference, the guy is pure entertainment. And even after a loss like that, I know I'm not speaking for myself when I say I'd be excited to see what happens next. Next, we had Elle Brooke versus Faith Orway in a fight that ended up being an all-out war. Just from Elle Brooke's pad work at the open workout alone, I could tell that she had crazy power, and her technique, especially for a woman in the crossover boxing scene, is really good, and that was on full display in this fight. Don't get me wrong, Faith Orway definitely threw a lot of shots back, and at points in this fight, for as long as it lasted, these girls were just trading. But at the end of the day, the power of Elle Brooke shone through, and she got the early stoppage. It's a little early to say, but I think at this point there is not another female fighter in the crossover scene that's gonna give Elle any problems. Between her technique and her power, this girl is going to be a huge problem going forward. Moving on, we had Swarms complete his redemption arc with the stoppage win over Ryan Taylor. All it took was a single punch and a jab at that. Insane. Also a little bit of a scary moment. Ryan Taylor going back to his corner, trying to explain to them that he could not see at all in that left eye. Scary moment and an underwhelming performance if you're Ryan Taylor, but if you're Swarms, I mean, how can you call it anything less than a flawless victory? While Swarms is looking a lot better when it comes to his technique and his movement, he still has a lot to learn, but I'm sure all that confidence he's going to have coming off of a win, especially a win with the only punch that he threw, I'm sure that that confidence is going to shine through, and he's going to have a whole nother training camp to improve. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens for him next, and more importantly, I'm interested to see what fire song he's about to drop after getting his first victory. Somehow, when recording this video, I forgot to mention one of the most exciting parts of the entire card, the mystery opponent. I had no clue who they were going to bring out, but of all people that it could have been, it was Luis Alcaraz Pineda. What an amazing surprise and a great way to reintroduce somebody from the past and give them their own chance to redeem themselves. Personally, I'm not too familiar with B-Dave. I know that he has been training boxing for some time now, but that doesn't compare. At the end of the day, I mean, we all clowned Pineda before because he was a quote-unquote professional, but he definitely looked great out there, put on an amazing performance, beautiful combinations, mixed it up, body and head, and got the win in a pretty exciting fight. I think it was a genius move to bring him back as the mystery opponent, because now, looking back at KSI's 2 fights in one night, all of a sudden it looks a whole lot more impressive when you have Swarms and Pineda coming back and getting impressive victories. And I think it's a great story. Pineda coming from the most humble of humble beginnings, now getting to shine in the big stage, and it looks like now we have another pro fighter in the crossover boxing scene. I thought the mystery fighter was a genius idea, and I can't wait to see what kind of crazy WWE style gimmicks Misfits pulls next. And next we had one of the most anticipated matchups of the night, Salt Poppy versus Josh Bruckner, 2 guys that actually are highly skilled when it comes to boxing. I know Josh Bruckner is an MMA fighter, but still, the guy has some serious talent inside of the ring. He definitely, unlike some other people that have been on previous cards, he knows what he's doing. Going into this one, I thought it was a 50-50 fight. A lot of people thought it was a 50-50 fight. But the closer we got to the actual fight, I was starting to lean towards Josh Bruckner. I mean, he has more combat experience. I know it's MMA, so it's a lot different. And then, I mean, just look at the guy. I mean, it's hard to deny the fact that one of these guys probably has the edge when it comes to athleticism. But at the end of the day, this has been proven time and time again. Muscles do not win fights, and neither do abs. And Salt Papi landed one of the cleanest left hands that completely stunned Josh Bruckner, ending the fight early and proving that Salt Papi is one of the more legit guys in the scene. It's going to be hard to get this guy a matchup. I mean, looking at the guy, you would never be able to tell, but he is an absolute beast in the ring. His timing, his speed, his power. This guy is an animal. And in the co-main event, we had Slim the Hitman Albahar versus Tom Zanetti. I haven't confirmed this, but just looking at Tom Zanetti's movement, he looks to be a guy that has a little bit of experience when it comes to Thai boxing. And I think that kind of explains a lot of the stiffness he had in there, even though he could kind of sort of throw a punch. But one thing I cannot take away from the guy is that he has a granite chin, and he was just too tough for Slim to get him out of there, and even came back to, at least in my opinion, win at least one of the last 2 rounds. I completely agree with Slim's self-assessment. I think that it's time for him to go down in weight. He's having a little bit of trouble fighting these really tough guys at a higher weight class than what he should be at. But I think if he drops down in weight, he'll have no problem getting back to his old ways, getting some clean knockouts, and showing us the hitman that we've all come to love. And finally, the main event of the evening. Even though we got a last-minute change of opponent, I still believe that the end result probably would have been about the same. With all the first-round knockout talk from JJ, I was getting a little worried that he was completely overlooking Temper and was going to put himself in a position where he starts all of a sudden facing some serious adversity in a fight that he thought was going to be a cakewalk, especially since he's going up against a guy who is not only a southpaw, but is 6'4" with a reach advantage on top of that. Early in the fight, Temper started finding his jab just a little bit. I thought if he was able to keep distance, keep JJ away at bay, and just keep throwing the jab out there, that he would have had a chance to pull off the victory. But JJ stayed light in his toes, found his timing, found the perfect opportunity to lunge in, throw the big right hand, followed up by the left hook, and that's all she wrote. Clean knockout, very impressive. It's always way more impressive when you see a guy call that first round knockout and actually get it. I think that he's finally started to back up all the talk from the past few months. It looks like, yeah, the guy actually has been improving. Yeah, he actually has been working hard, and it's showing. The results are right there in his fights. Clean knockout. He actually does have serious power. Crazy thing is, over the past couple years, he still doesn't have a lot of ring time. I think at least one more fight is needed for him, especially if he wants that big money fight at the end of the year. And I think the perfect opponent, of course, is Joe Fournier, a guy who is a boxer, is undefeated, and somehow found his way to a WBA international title. If he's able to pull that off in his next fight, then I think he's completely eclipsed anything that anyone else has done in the crossover boxing space. Who do you think had the most impressive performance of the night? Was it that clean left hand knockout by Salt Papi, or was it the clean left hook knockout by JJ? And who do you think JJ should fight next? I'm saying Joe Fournier, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching.